The Battlefield 6 beta is... My god, is this beta something? Hackers, queue time, shotgun demons, poor hit reg, or even the fact that no one, and I mean no one, wants to revive anybody out here.
You guys have fun. I'll just be hanging out, bleeding to death, NBD.
But you know what? I love it, especially all the dumb criticism I've seen of this game like, oh, the movement is so slow. Welcome to Battlefield, brother. Because you're meant to feel like a soldier weighed down by 60 pounds of taxpayer freedom. Oh my god, there's no meta loadouts. Yeah, that's Battlefield, brother. There isn't meant to be one specific loadout that breaks the entire game. You're supposed to use the endless amounts of weapons at your disposal for pure destruction. Even though I got to play the game for only one day and maybe a few hours, I think the thing that stunned me the most was the fact that the game actually worked. Like, yeah, it might have some stupid balancing issues here and there, or even the potential hacker in the game, but I'm saying the game actually works. Like, yeah, there's absurd queue times, but the game actually functions. The game doesn't crash, frame rates don't drop. Gunplay outside of some weird hit registration is A1. And for an EA game, that to me is extremely impressive, because I can't even think of a time where a Battlefield beta wasn't a broken mess. I mean, I remember during the Battlefield 2042 beta, I almost had a fucking seizure because of like the weird screen flashes. And if I'm gonna complain about anything involving this beta, it's not the servers, it's not the hackers or weapon balancing. Find me out here complaining about the fact that y'all don't even understand how to play the meta class, let alone just be a helpful teammate. Now, if you didn't see, Battlefield 6 has a new mechanic where you can drag down players into cover while reviving them instead of just being out in the open screaming,
"Come on, help me out!"
only to maybe have someone be willing to jump out and save you. This is a mechanic that is usable only to members within your squad, but hey, at least it makes gunfights more...
That little man must belong to me now, boy. How does that make you feel?
Which I find amazing, because it takes some of the pressure off the MVPs of any good squad, the medic. Now, I'll be 100 with you. None of y'all understand how to play the medic class, because this class does more than just throw out health bags and bring you back from seeing Tupac. It's a class that, in my opinion, you need to be as selfless as possible. So by that I mean, whip out those defibrillators and... The support/medic class is truly the one class in the entire game that keeps your team in the fight. And without a good medic, well, enjoy that not victory screen. But the medic class won't get me to the top of the leaderboard. Sorry, I can't hear you from the top of that leaderboard and over all the lives I'm saving. Now that that's out of the way, I've probably played about 10 hours of this beta, and besides the fact I think players have completely forgotten how to play the medic class, I want to go over the pros and cons of this beta. The destruction in Battlefield 6 is so entertaining. Like, it could either be super cinematic with walls and buildings falling all around you, or just the casual tank busting through a half wall like the Kool-Aid Man while you're just straight chilling trying to regain some health.
That is the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
And I'd say, as YouTube's biggest complainer, I actually need to praise the game's movement, because much to my surprise, mainly because this is an EA game, it just feels so damn smooth. It doesn't feel stiff, it doesn't feel buggy, it's just very smooth. Sure, there's things like sliding and diving, but you can't really slide cancel, which, like, I don't care. I know people probably do care, but I don't care, because I think the movement is fast enough and the sliding and diving is all good enough where it's just not extremely game-breaking. The way I look at it is this: the Battlefield 6 movement is the same movement I think Infinity Ward tried to achieve with Modern Warfare 2, the reboot, and just completely whiffed on it. Sure, in Battlefield 6, it's meant to be somewhat more realistic and make you feel like you're a soldier with 60 pounds of gear, but it's not overdone where it slows down the overall gameplay. Gunplay is extremely entertaining, especially the 870 is by far my favorite weapon.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And it also doubles up as a sniper rifle. I'm not even kidding. The range on this thing is so busted. But what's surprising is the fact that no one's actually using it. And maybe that's because they don't know, or maybe because they just don't care. But there's also guns like the ARs, LMGs, or even SMGs that are extremely entertaining to use, and they're still pretty easy to use. Which to me is a great thing, because it doesn't feel like any of them are more overpowered than the other. And I still can't really figure out that whole sniping thing. It's also just good that there's no specific weapon that's more broken than the other outside of the 870, because I know I just said the 870 is pretty busted, but someone without a smooth brain could easily figure out how to shut that down. Sticking with the overall gameplay, Battlefield 6 has brought back that traditional loadout system from the old games, which means no more
Are you really surprised?
That shit is fucking trash, dog.
It's just so refreshing to jump back into the old system where each class seems to be more focused on a specific thing, like the support being the medic, or the engineer being the tank buster or supporter of the said tank class. And it's probably been one of the more well-received things that I've seen. Speaking of like tanks in general, you can now ride on the back of tanks, which is pretty hilarious. I have yet to do that, but I've seen people do it, and I think it's absolutely hysterical to see. You want to talk about maps? There are 3 maps in the beta: Siege of Cairo, Iberian Offensive, and Liberation Peak. They are all so incredibly fun, and I think these maps fix a massive problem that exists within Battlefield 2042, and really Battlefield 5, I guess, to a certain degree, being that the maps are just too damn big. These 3 maps are still relatively big, but they're not nearly as big as Battlefield 2042, where you're going to be running around for like 20 minutes to find some sort of engagement. There's action happening all over the place, and a lot of that might also be because of the fact that they're urban areas and that make that engagement happen everywhere, but I think it also helps where they're actually designed that way to keep actual battles happening so you're not bored. And it also feels like these are basically Michael Bay's wet dream, with these being some of the most gorgeous set pieces I think I've ever seen in a modern game. Like when I got into Liberation Peak for the first time, I was completely blown away by just how beautiful it looked. And maybe that speaks to the graphics as a whole. Like when people talk about advancement in graphics in the modern era, I feel like over the last few years we haven't seen it very much, but Battlefield 6 is a massive step forward in my opinion. And when you get into a game, you just start going,
holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!
There aren't very many cons of Battlefield 6 from what I can see. I'm gonna start with the UI. It's a fucking mess. Not a disorganized mess, it's just the way it functions feels so clunky to me. I honestly can't describe it other than like when I was trying to change settings, it felt like a nightmare. And there's so many windows and settings. Like, remember when the settings window was just this? Like, what happened to that? Now, I've seen a good amount of videos talking about hackers and how they're apparently a pretty big deal. Now, don't let any of these virgins ruin your experience, but DICE, Battlefield Studios, whatever they're called, needs to jump on this quick before they become Activision, who says they're gonna fix things, but then they actually never come up with a real concrete solution. And I'm like 90% sure I provided the same feedback during the Black Ops 6 beta, and I don't even think they even tried to fix that, and which is part of why I ended up not playing Call of Duty for like the longest period of time. The issue that drove me the most nuts was the battle map, you know, the one that allows you to spawn in or spawn on somebody. How it used to work in other Battlefields was it basically just like lock on and let you just go from thing to thing while locking on to said thing or thing, to allow you to spawn into like a certain area or on a certain person. But in Battlefield 6, it allows you to freely navigate the entire map in order for you to pick it is such a nightmare, especially if you have some like sort of stick drift issue. You're basically screwed. Like you have no hope of actually spawning in unless you just keep smashing A and then maybe hover over that area in like the right time. Lastly, the only major quote unquote issue that I could find was the queue times were just kind of a bit annoying. Like you could just straight up sit there and watch a feature film, maybe do a couple mock drafts while you were waiting for a game to connect, or even just get into the main menu. Like you could boot up the game and see the queue time being 100,000 players, but you would see that 100,000 players in queue and then you would just jump right in. It was very weird. I've also noticed this with like game queue times where it would be like a full minute, maybe 2 minutes, then you back out, jump back into the queue and find a match in an instant. It was very inconsistent and weird. I will say though, I was kind of impressed that there was 100,000 players in the queue ready to jump on this game. It was kind of impressive because it felt like there was more attention on this Battlefield than there ever has been in the last god knows how long. Other than those things, honestly, in my opinion, the Battlefield 6 beta as a whole is just a total blast. And I think for me, really solidified the hype around this game. Now note that the beta that ran this weekend was relatively short, but the next one is running from the 14th to the 17th, and it'll end up being longer, obviously. Should I stream it? Maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you think of that idea in the comments. Also, let me know what you think of the Battlefield 6 beta. But I'll leave you with this. Battlefield 6's hype should be real. Like, it's a game that I think will deliver on the years of players begging for a return to form and be this realistic modern shooter that a lot of people have been really asking for in this series in Call of Duty. It's fun, it's destructive, it's Battlefield. We are back, baby.